Hello and welcome. Tonight, federal government proposes a budget of 26 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year as President Bola Tinubu swears in 3 new ministers at the Federal Executive Council meeting. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana describes appointment of heads of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission from the same region as unlawful. And Southeast PDP stakeholders meet in Enugu agree to restore party's dominance in the region.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's headline inflation rates increases for the 9th consecutive month this year, climbs to 26.72% in September.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles of Nigeria beat Mozambique in Portimao, Portugal, to record their first international friendly win in 55 months.
And from Abuja, President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban-Mensem, directs all appeals arising from election petition cases be transferred to Abuja and Lagos divisions.
And in international news from London, Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza, up from 155 to 199.
The Federal Executive Council is proposing an aggregate expenditure of 26.01 trillion naira for the 2024 appropriation bill that will be sent to the National Assembly for consideration. This was made known by the Minister of Economic Planning and Budget, Mr. Atiku Bagudu, while addressing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting in the presidential villa. Our State House correspondent, Larry Lesisi, reports that President Bola Tinubu chaired the meeting.
President Bola Tinubu arriving for what is the second Federal Executive Council meeting of this administration. The first part of the day's meeting is the swearing-in ceremony for 3 newly appointed ministers. One after the other, their citations are read and they take their oath of office.
As the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The ministers were assigned their portfolios, with Jamila Bio Ibrahim as the Minister of Youths, Ayodele Olawande, Minister of State Youths, and Balare Lawal as Minister of Environment. This brings the number of ministers in the federal cabinet to 48. The meeting then went into a closed-door session. Afterwards, 7 ministers briefed journalists on the resolutions reached. The Council approved the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper.
The assumptions include oil price benchmark, which I said for 2024, we are assuming 73.96, oil production of 1.78 million barrels a day, exchange rate of 700, then the inflation of 21% and GDP growth rate of 3.76%. The aggregate expenditure is estimated at 26.01 trillion naira for the 2024 budget.
The minister also confirmed that a supplementary budget is being worked on, while the administration is hoping to sign the 2024 budget before the last day of 2023.
There will be a supplementary budget because, of course, there are continuing obligations and there are responses to security which can be immediate. So Mr. President is mindful of those and is assessing them. But Mr. President is also committed to the budget process and its integrity. So he wants to ensure that monies that are appropriated will be can be spent in the period for which they are appropriated.
The Minister of Finance spoke on the $1.5 billion loan secured from the World Bank.
Things are tough. Mr. President is aware
and that is why he has the intervention package, 500 billion naira, as well as other measures, including a wage award and later on a new wage structure for the country. So I think that answers all the questions about the 1.5 billion, why and how soon, and use of proceeds. It goes straight into the balance of payments, goes straight into the reserves to support the effort to improve the country's fiscal situation, to improve government finances.
It has been disclosed that henceforth, Federal Executive Council meetings will take place on Monday each week. It was, however, made clear that that did not necessarily mean that the meetings will hold every week, as that will be determined by the amount of work that needed to be done in the week under consideration. From the Presidential Villa, Landry Lasisi for Channels Television News.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, has waded into the controversy surrounding the appointment of a new chairman for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede. According to the human rights lawyer, there is no legal ground to disqualify the new EFCC boss from heading the anti-corruption agency. He, however, faulted the decision by the president on the ground that he failed to abide by the principle of federal character in the appointment of the heads of the EFCC and ICPC. He made his views known on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
The only issue that has been raised, which for me has to be considered by the government, is that we have in this country the Federal Character Commission Act, and also by virtue of Section 14 of the Constitution, appointments must reflect federal character. So if you are going to have, you have the EFCC and the ICPC, the heads cannot come from the same zone. So if there are two positions in this country, in the public service, one must go to the north, one must come to the south. If there are 4, 2 must go to the north, 2 must come to the south. If there are 6, 1 must go to each geopolitical zone. That is the law in Nigeria today. So I am not comfortable with the fact as of today. The heads of the EFCC and the ICPC are from the same zone. Apart from that, Mr. Olukoyede is eminently qualified to head the EFCC. My colleagues who have criticized the appointment have not looked at the laws, the relevant law, the relevant provision of the EFCC, which is Section 2, which provides that the chairman, right, must be at least an assistant commissioner of police or its equivalent in the security service or in a law enforcement agency. When Mr. Abdurrashid Bawa was appointed, there were people saying, no, this position is for police officers. And I said, no. If you had served in a law enforcement agency, you are qualified and you have acquired enough experience, you are qualified to head the EFCC.
Let's talk politics now. Enugu State Governor Peter Mbah has called on leaders and PDP faithful in the southeast to join in restoring the party's influence and dominance on the region. According to Governor Mbah, there is need to rejig the party's financial, administrative and operational strategies for its overall growth and consolidation. He was speaking at the party's zonal meeting held in Enugu State and attended by serving and former PDP Southeast governors and party leaders, among others.
So it is time for us to begin to craft strategy on how we can get back to that pole position that we've always occupied. It means we have to, first of all, consolidate our support base as a party, and then go on now to reach out to our brothers who may have one way or the other felt aggrieved, and to see how we can bring them back to where they belong.
Still talking politics in the southeast, Governor Hope Uzodinma has promised to grant amnesty and rehabilitate the youth behind insecurity in Imo State. Governor Uzodinma made this known in Owerri, the state capital, while addressing the gathering of youth and indigents of the state at the inauguration of the Imo Progressives movement. He says his government will ensure that the rest of youth are reintegrated into the society by providing them with quality jobs.
It's barely 4 weeks to the governorship election in Imo State, and political parties continue to canvass for votes from the residents. At the entrance of the government house in Owerri, the Imo State capital, youths under the aegis of the Imo Obedient Youths gathered in their numbers to declare their support for Governor Hope Uzodinma. The youths carrying several banners are received by the governor as they pledge their total support for him ahead of the November 11 polls.
Youths in this state has given their governor, the obedient governor, their support and will give you their votes come 11 November 2023.
Afterwards, the governor attends the inauguration of over 10,000 members of the Imo Progressives movement at the Ndubisi Kanu Square in Owerri, a support group spread across the 27 local government areas of Imo State with the aim of soliciting support for the governor ahead of the election. The group maintains that the governor remains the best choice for Imo State. In his address, Governor Uzodinma promises to grant amnesty and rehabilitate all youths involved in insecurity in the state. And for the November elections, he gives assurances of adequate security to the people.
Our youth must earn a living. Tell those brothers and sisters of ours who are being deceived, who are in the bush killing and shooting guns, tell them to come out. I have job for them. I will rehabilitate them. Those who are against us on November 11th, watch the polling unit. Don't be afraid of anybody. Cast your vote. Wait there. When you wait there, they will count their vote. They will enter the vote. They will transmit the result. Until that is done, don't leave the polling unit. Nobody will do you any jack. I guarantee you security.
As the D-Day approaches, rallies like this will continue as the residents will be counting on the electoral umpire and security agencies to deliver on their promise of a free, fair, credible and violent-free election.
In part two, after the break, President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban-Mensem, directs all appeals arising from election petition cases be transferred to Abuja and Lagos divisions. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government proposes a budget of 26 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year as President Bola Tinubu swears in 3 new ministers at the Federal Executive Council meeting. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana describes appointment of heads of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission from the same region as unlawful. Southeast PDP stakeholders meet in Enugu, agreed to restore party's dominance in the region. And Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza, up from 155 to 199. In Kogi State, the governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Mr. Leke Abejide, is again reaffirming his commitment to transform the state through massive infrastructure development if he is elected into office. Mr. Abejide stated this while campaigning in Ogurim, Agongo and Okene local government areas of the state. He says the state deserves better infrastructure after 8 years of governance by the All Progressives Congress.
The African Democratic Congress is leaving no stone unturned in its bid to occupy the Lord Lugard House in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital, as the governorship candidate of the party, Mr. Leke Abejide, and his deputy take their message to religious groups in Ogurimagongo local government area.
Come with me to the book of Genesis chapter 2.
At the Church of Advent in Ayotoro, worshippers converge for the third session of the fourth synod, singing praises to God. The arrival of the ADC campaign train temporarily interrupts the session as the governorship candidate of the party mounts the podium to address the church on his rescue mission agenda.
I will never be ungrateful to God who has made it possible. And I look at the way Kogi State is going. If we don't come to the rescue, our people will perish.
So once again, you are welcome.
From the church, the team moves to the central mosque, where the deputy governorship candidate highlights the need for equity.
Our team is a team that is set to bring all these things together so that we can have a better Kogi State.
Next, the team hits the campaign ground in Okene, where they are received by party supporters. In his address to the crowd, the ADC candidate makes a case for power shift to Kogi West and his plans to ensure infrastructural development of the state.
And you know before now, Ebira people and Kogi West, we are working together to get the power shift. And now that you have done your own for 8 years, I want to beg you, make you support me, so that this power can go to the West, Kogi West. And I want to tell you, I will not forget any one of you.
The candidate also took his rescue mission message to Okene local government area as he remains optimistic that the electorate will vote him in as the next governor of the state.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party flag bearer for the Kogi State governorship election in the November polls, Senator Dino Malai, has been speaking on his plans for the state if elected governor. Senator Malai, who was speaking on our flagship program Politics Today, says his first mandate is to unite all Kogi people, as embedded in his campaign slogan.
My first responsibility will be to unite our people, and that is why the slogan of my campaign is One Kogi, One Destiny. After uniting our people, we are going to work on our economy. After working on our economy, we are going to work on education. As I speak with you today, apart from Ekiti State, we have the highest number of professors in this country. Yet, our universities are like glorified secondary schools. Today, there's no functional primary school in Kogi State, no teachers. Education is the bane of our development as a people. We're going to work on it. We're going to introduce ICT. We're going to work on the curriculum from primary school to our universities. We're going to work on agriculture. We're going to go into mechanized agriculture. We're going to go into plantation agriculture. We're going to have farmhouses. Understand? We're going to recruit our graduates into agriculture. Mining is going to be promoted by the grace of the Almighty God. We are going to do all this by the grace of God to make sure that Kogi State, our true potential, is revived.
All right, let's head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ayo. Well, here in Abuja, we begin with the president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban-Mensem, who has directed that all appeals arising from election petition cases across the country be transferred to the Abuja and Lagos divisions. The order affects governorship, national and state assemblies elections, which held between February and March this year. Although the appeals from the various state tribunals are supposed to be heard across the 20 appellate courts in the country, only 2 divisions of the court would preside over the election appeals. Sources at the Court of Appeal who spoke on the condition of anonymity says the Abuja division will handle appeals from 19 northern states, while 17 southern states cases would be heard in Lagos. The directive was issued following allegations and petitions against state tribunal judges. Meanwhile, some political parties and their candidates had alleged that the judges at the state tribunals had been compromised by governors, raising concerns that they may suffer the same fate if the appeals are to be determined in the various states. The appeal court president said having fewer divisions handle all cases will enable her effectively oversee the judges. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal Abuja has sacked the senator representing Adamawa North, Senator Elisha Abo, delivering judgment. The three-member panel, presided over by Justice C.E. Mosu Iheme, ordered INEC to issue a certificate of return to Mr. Amos Yohana as the duly elected senator representing Adamawa North Senatorial District in the National Assembly. The appellate court vacated the tribunal judgment which had earlier affirmed Senator Abo of the All Progressives Congress as winner of the senatorial election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared Senator Abo winner of the February 25 parliamentary poll. Aggrieved by the decision of the electoral body, the People's Democratic Party candidate, Mr. Amos Yohana, went to the tribunal to challenge the outcome of the election. In its ruling, the tribunal dismissed Mr. Yohana's petition for lacking in merit. Not comfortable with the judgment of the tribunal, the People's Democratic candidate, through his counsel, Johnson Usman, approached the appeal court. The Court of Appeal, after hearing arguments from both parties, agreed with Mr. Usman that based on Section 137 of the Electoral Act 2022, the results tendered clearly showed that there was no compliance with the Electoral Act. The court thereafter deducted the invalid votes from both parties and found that Amos Yohana and the PDP won the election by majority of lawful votes. Meanwhile, Senator Elisha Abo has been speaking on the Court of Appeal verdict that nullified his election. Addressing a news conference in Abuja shortly after the judgment, Senator Abo alleges that he is a victim of power play in the Senate following the emergence of the leadership of the upper chamber.
As you are aware, election was conducted this February 2023, where I won the election with about 72,000 votes. And my opponent came second with about 61,000 votes, given a gap of 11,000 vote lead. What they allege was, one, corrupt practices and non-adherence to the electoral law. Of course, you are aware that before the election, I had my own problems in my party based on my stand on national issues, more especially my stand on same-faith ticket, which I felt wasn't good for the country as of that time. I want to tell you that I'm a hero of democracy. I'm a martyr of democracy. I am been actually bewitched by government because of my critical stand on national issues. That is the truth. It is obvious. I heard it from reliable sources, which I will not call the name now, that 5 senators will be removed from the Senate. Those who did not stand with my brother and my elder brother, my good colleague, distinguished Senate President Akpabio. Those who did not vote for him, 5 of us are going. I am number 1.
In Gombe, the state government says it is putting final touches to the smooth takeoff of its multi-billion naira ultra-modern motor park. The structure is designed to bring all motor parks within Gombe metropolis in one place.
The Gombe state government is working to move all satellite motor parks to one location in the state capital. Fitted with cutting-edge facilities, the ultra-modern mega park is built to give comprehensive interstate coverage, orderliness, first-rate security, and value for money. For several years, poorly planned motor parks have led to traffic congestion, security threat, and poor revenue generation for the Gombe state government.
We are very excited that His Excellency Muhammadu Inuit Mbajan Gombe now has provided a conducive environment so that we can be able to operate efficiently. So we are committed at any time given to us, we move to New Gombe Motor Park.
There are so many other parks spread all over the place in the town, small parks by the roadside. And I know that when the new one fully comes on board, we're going to have improvement not only in terms of the manner in which people are going to load, we're also going to have improvement in terms of security.
The facility has guest rooms, road networks, offices, shops, spacious parking areas, and a police station. While inspecting the facility, Governor Inwa Yahaya assures satellite motor parks of inclusivity and better operational experience under the arrangement.
12.6 billion is no small money, and we are moving several motor parks to this place. And already we want to start to implement the project we want to do on those other sites. So movement here has become very, very necessary. No waste of time anymore.
The facility is considered a big win for all in the state, as the government is promising a seamless relocation for all motor parks.
When you look at this park, generally speaking, that was the reason why they call it an ultra-modern motor park, because it will house a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and all the motor parks will just be here, and at least it will boost the economic activities.
The state government plans to set up the state three-arm zone at the present location of the Bauchi Park. The zone will host the State Judiciary Complex, the State House of Assembly Complex, and State Secretariat.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's headline inflation rates increases for the 9th consecutive month this year, climbs to 26.72% in September. That's in business news. You'll join us again.
Welcome back. Arise, a faith-based non-governmental organization, NGO, has hosted this year's edition of their annual Walk of Life with the theme Step Up. For the founder and convener, Dr. Shiju Iluyomade, this year's walk, the 15th in the series, witnessed a 7-kilometer walk by participants from Ikoyi to Muri Okwala in Lagos to raise the health awareness of the country for a better society. Arise is an NGO engaged in several health, sports, education, leadership, and other forms of empowerment and interventions across Nigeria.
As early as 7 in the morning, this ground on Ikoyi began to swell with men and women from all endeavor of life for the 15th edition of Arise Walk for Life 2023. This year's theme is Step Up. It's for aerobics, exercise, in preparation for the 7-kilometer walk for life, an idea of Arise, a faith-based non-governmental organization committed to nation building. Arise is for everyone, regardless of your status in the society or what you represent. The walk is a preventive healthcare strategy believed to be better than curative health. When she joined the elegant convener, Dr. Shiju Iluyomade, the excitement grew further. Not even the rains could ruin the engagements. The walk is organized to have a group of clusters leading the park. The winning cluster is entitled to a 15 million naira bounty. Last year was won by Makoko Community Cluster. The walk in earnest takes off from Ikoyi through the Link Bridge, Admiralty, through Ozumbambadiwe, and terminates at the Muri Okwala Park. It's all well set up here for everyone to unwind, relax, interact, play games, eat, and keep fit again by dancing some more. Arise says it is global, as other group joins at various international locations for this year's work, which essentially kickstarts activities to herald the organization's calendar year of events.
So what we do is that we go into our villages, we teach them, it's okay for you to walk around, it's okay to lift things. so that your machine, this body, can work for you. So what we've done with our rights is that we have adopted villages, we've done education, we've built so many schools all around, we've built boreholes, we've built skills acquisition academy, and I dare say we have hospitals. We are bringing to birth in our hospitals every day.
Last year, I could only walk 2 kilometers. This year, I did 5 kilometers. That is a step up. And there's a build-up, towards, the program. And everybody is focused, like I said, they are driven, because they believe in what she's doing. And I believe that it's just an example of what other NGOs, can emulate so that we can build a better society.
Over the next few days, Arise will host its golf event, football, and the annual Arise Women Conference, all in tandem with the organization's intervention. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Business News is up next with Ann Waldo.
Thank you, Ayat Sunday. Hello and welcome to Business News. Let's begin with Nigeria's annual inflation rate. It has hit a fresh 18-year high as it climbed by 0.92% from the previous figure to 26.72% in the month of September amid worsening cost of living crisis in the country. Well, according to official data released today by the National Bureau of Statistics, food inflation, which makes up the bulk of Nigeria's inflation basket, rose to 30.64% in September, coming from 29.3% in the month of August, while core inflation rose slightly to 21.84%. At the same time, urban inflation jumped to 28.6%, while the rate of inflation in the rural parts of the country increased from 21.3% to 24.9% just last month. With the 9th consecutive month rise in the country's inflation, economic analysts have projected that the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee, under a new membership, may likely take a stand to stem inflation when they hold their next meeting in the coming weeks. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, is set to start a nationwide compliance monitoring exercise on value-added tax, that's VAT, and withholding tax for all taxable individuals with effect from Monday, October the 23rd. In a statement released today, the FIRS says the initiative is designed to bolster tax compliance and revenue collection in Nigeria. The tax agency highlights that the exercise, which is in accordance with the FIRS Act of 2007, will encompass accounting years from 2019 to 2022 for taxable individuals whose records were audited by the service up to 2018 accounting year. It, however, clarifies that for taxpayers whose records have not been audited by the agency up to 2018, the exercise will be extended to include the preceding unaudited years. Telecommunication firms have issued fresh threats to withdraw unstructured supplementary service data if the 120 billion naira debt owed to them by banks are not paid. This new warning is coming despite a recent resolution by the telcos and banks to settle the USSD issue that has been lingering for about 4 years now. The chairman, Association of Licensed Telecoms Operators in Nigeria, Gbenga Adebayo, who made this known in a statement, says the issue has dragged on for too long and a court resolution might be needed since the banks do not seem to be ready to clear this debt. And outside our shores, the chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Gary Gensler, has warned that financial regulators must quickly find a way to manage the risks posed to financial stability by the concentration of power to artificial intelligence on all platforms. He also stated that shaping AI regulation will be a tough test for us and for U.S. regulators, as potential risks cut across financial markets and stem from models crafted by tech companies that sit outside the remit of Wall Street watchdogs. And back home, let's head to the stock market. It began the third trading week in the red with nearly 90 billion naira lost to profit-taking by investors. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the local bourse kicks off the first trading session of the week in the red after a winning week last week, 0.24%. That's the all-share index, down 67,037 points. Market cap sits at 36 trillion. Let's look at the activity chart now. We see just deals in the green, 5,966. Bigger than what we had on Friday last week. Volume 216 millions of stocks valued at 3.55 billion naira. Let's look at the Guinness counter now. We see Royal Exchange topping that counter at 51 kobo, up 8.51%. Consolidated Hallmark Insurance PLC also 1 naira 13 kobo, up 6.96%. Let's look at the losers counter now. Yeah, we see Sovereign Insurance and the Stanbic there down big 10%. Okomo Oil 9.96% there, shedding big 9.65% there. I wonder if investors sold off because of the 43 items readmission to the FX market, because on that list is palm oil products, but I might be wrong. The oil and gas counter took a beating today. So trading this week starts off bearish. Same day we got macro data from the MBS showing that Nigeria's inflation hit an 18-year high at 26.72%. Now the stock market report, I'm Ladi Williams.
And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Ayot Sunday.
Welcome back. Hamas's military wing says it has fired a barrage of rockets at Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. This comes as Gaza hospitals near collapse. Here's Simon Puser with more on this and other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza, up from 155 to 199. More than 2,700 people in Gaza have been killed in retaliatory strikes by Israel, which is also blocking fuel, water, food and medical supplies from entering the territory. Here, rescuers digging for survivors under the rubble. Around 1 million Palestinians are now believed to have fled southwards from northern Gaza. That's according to a top UN official, ahead of what is expected to be a major ground offensive by Israel. The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, returned to Israel for meetings after several days of diplomacy between Arab states in a bid to prevent a wider war from erupting. Leaders have been calling for borders to be opened to allow people to flee and to allow aid into Gaza. Palestinians here gathering at Rafah border, hoping to cross into Egypt.
The humanitarian situation is one which, of course, we're concerned about and that I've raised in all the calls and interactions I've had with other leaders from across the region, and in particular making sure that we can try and get the Rafah crossing open. That will ease the humanitarian situation. That's why I prioritised speaking with President Sisi of Egypt early on last week to talk about that, and we will continue to do everything we can to alleviate the humanitarian situation on the ground, including moving some of our Royal Navy assets into the region who can provide further support as required.
Meanwhile, a man has been charged with murder and hate crimes after allegedly stabbing a 6-year-old boy to death because he was a Muslim. Joseph Suba is accused of killing Wadea Al-Fayoume and seriously wounding his mother in Plainfield in Illinois. The landlord allegedly targeted the pair, who were his tenants, because of their religion and the ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel. President Joe Biden said he was sickened by the attack. An exit poll suggests the right-wing populist Law and Justice Party is on course to win most seats in Poland's general election, but it is unlikely to secure a third term in office. Known as PIS, it is set to win 36.6% of the vote, with the centrist opposition on 31%. If that is correct, Donald Tusk's civil coalition has a better chance of forming a coalition. He is aiming to end 8 years of PIS rule.
This period of taking Poland to the margins of Europe, of breaking rule of law, rules of democracy, this is ending. The ruling party has no coalition capacity, so I'm sure that within the next few weeks the current opposition will be forming the government.
Germany and the European Union have urged the Western Balkan countries to overcome their conflicts and to grab the opportunity to move closer towards the European Union. At the so-called Berlin Process Summit of Western Balkans and EU countries, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz told the region their disputes had continued for far too long and that they held the countries back. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the Union intended to open its market to Western Balkan companies under the condition that the countries grant market access to their neighbours.
We are opening it in areas like free movement of goods and services, road transport, energy, electricity, the EU's digital single market, and very important, making cashless payments easier with a single European payment area, just to name a few elements.
Police in South Africa have launched a manhunt for an escaped suspect accused of pretending to be a doctor. Police say Kingsley Lito Chele is a Facebook con artist who targeted women by misrepresenting himself as a doctor or a pharmacist and scamming them of their hard-earned money. He is accused of swindling health professionals out of thousands of rands for projects that did not exist. And Denmark's Prince Christian has marked his 18th birthday, stepping out onto a balcony of Copenhagen's Amalienborg Palace and waving to crowds of well-wishers. Prince Christian, who is second in line to the Danish throne, stepped out with members of his family, including his parents, Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Prince Mary, and his grandmother, Queen Margaret, to greet members of the public who had gathered in the courtyard below. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Super Eagles of Nigeria came from a goal down to beat the Mambas of Mozambique 3-2 in international friendly played this evening in Portimao, Portugal. Goals by Terry Murphy, Frank Onyeka and Moses Simon steered Nigeria to victory over 10-man Mozambique, and it was the first time the Super Eagles in a friendly match in 55 months, dating back to March 2019, when Nigeria defeated 7-time African champions Egypt at the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba. The victory also means the Eagles have established a winning mentality ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches starting in November, as well as the 34th African Cup of Nations taking place in Côte d'Ivoire. Napoli have confirmed Victor Osimhen will miss this weekend's Serie A clash with Verona after the Super Eagles forward picked up a hamstring injury on international duty. Napoli did not say for how long Osimhen would be sidelined with a medium-grade tear in his right hamstring, but Italian media report that he could be out for as long as a month. It's official. Cricket will feature as one of the 5 new sports at the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. A vote of the International Olympic Committee's session in Mumbai approved cricket together with baseball, softball, flag football, squash and lacrosse.
LA 28 have considered a number of additional summer sports, assessing the potential alignment with the Games concept, and decided to officially propose on a package of 5 sports, namely baseball, softball, cricket, flag football, lacrosse and squash.
So today we had the really exciting news that after the confirmation of the 28 sports that the IOC had previously confirmed for Los Angeles, including skateboarding, surfing and sport climbing, today we had the confirmation that the package of the 5 sports proposed by Los Angeles was approved by the IOC session and now confirmed in the Games in LA.
Season Sports News is back to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Chris. And the main news again. The federal government today announced a budget proposal of 26 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year. The Minister of Economic Planning and Budget, Atiku Bagudu, gave the figure at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting, where President Bola Tinubu also swore in 3 new ministers. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has described the appointment of chairmen of the EFCC and the ICPC from the same region as unlawful and against the federal character principle. And Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza from 155 to 199, even as the war with Hamas rages on. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.